Hi, my name is Idit. Welcome to the Healthcare Stage, the go-to podcast for innovators dedicated to enhancing health and wellness globally. In each episode, we dive into insightful conversations with those at the forefront of healthcare innovation. This episode is dedicated to the COMEET study, a prospective study conducted in Israel in approximately 2,000 infants. The study aimed to investigate the impact of early and consistent exposure to cow milk formula on the development of IgE-mediated cow milk allergy in infants. The finding indicated that infants with early continuing exposure to cow milk formula from birth had a lower prevalence of IgE-mediated cow milk allergy compared to infants exposed to occasional exposure to cow milk formula. This study shows that timing and consistency of cow milk formula exposure play a crucial role in preventing IgE-mediated cow milk allergy in infants. This information can guide parents and healthcare providers in making feeding decisions and implementing preventative measures to reduce the risk of cow's milk allergy in infants exposed to cow milk formula. It is my greatest pleasure to host Dr. Idit Lachover, the researcher behind the study. Idit is a pediatrician and allergy immunology specialist. She works at Meir Medical Center. Hi, Idit.
Hi, good morning.
Tell us something about yourself.
I don't drink coffee. I drink hot chocolate. So it's related to my interest in cow's milk allergy, but I just drink hot chocolate in the morning.
But were you allergic to milk?
No, no. I just don't like the taste of coffee.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. So before we kind of dive into your research, say a few words about the prevalence of food allergy and the different types we see in infant population.
Okay, first of all, it's very important to understand what is it IgE-mediated food allergy. When we are talking about IgE-mediated food allergy, we talk about an immune reaction. When the immune system develop antibodies, IgE antibodies against food proteins and react them as foreign bodies. The immune system exposed first to the allergenic food, creates the antibodies, and then in the next exposure, it will cause the allergic reaction that we all know. Allergic reaction can be very mild, like skin rash, or more severe reaction, which can include hoarseness, shortness of breath, vomiting, faint, and even in rare cases, even can cause death. The treatment in those reactions can be with antihistamine drugs, or in more severe cases with EpiPen, which is an adrenaline auto-injector. It is very important to understand that adrenaline auto-injector, it's a life-saving drug.
Can I ask you a question about the different types of allergies? Because your paper is more focused on IgE-mediated allergy. So perhaps say a word to our audience about the differences between IgE-mediated and non-IgE-mediated.
Okay, so I explained about the IgE-mediated. The other types of food allergies include food-induced allergic enterocolitis syndrome, which is can cause late vomitings, and food-induced allergic proctocolitis, which can cause bloody stool in infants. Those two syndromes are not life-threatening reactions and usually resolve around the age of 1 year or 2 years. And this is why my research focuses on IgE-mediated first, because the prevalence of cure is lower and it's more prevalent in the infant population.
And thank you.
I don't know if you recall, but I don't recall when I was in school age, kids with food allergy in school. And today there isn't at least even one class with at least one child with a food allergy. The prevalence in the worldwide is estimated to be around 5 to 10%. In Israel, the numbers are lower. According to a study conducted by our colleagues, the prevalence in the beginning of the 21st century in Israel was less than 1%, and in 2021, it was almost 3%. There are a lot of hypotheses why this rise happened, but it is still hypothesis, and there is a lot of investigation and work that we need to be done to understand the mechanism and why it is more prevalent those days.
Yeah. So in essence, the main treatment is avoidance.
Yes.
But one of the questions I must ask you, which directly relates to your paper, is can early exposure of infants to different food types than breast milk serve as a tool to reduce the incidence of food allergies?
Short answer is yes. I need to start with a story. At the beginning of the 21st century, a study conducted between the UK and Israel, Professor Gidon Lack from the UK and Professor Yitzhak Katz from Israel, wanted to compare the prevalence of peanut allergy between Jewish kids in Israel and UK. The reason they chose only Jewish kids was to avoid from genetic differences between groups. And they found that the prevalence of peanut allergy in the UK was 10 times more than in Israel. They tried to understand what the difference between those two groups, and the only thing they found that the Israeli infants are exposed in very young age to a baby snack called bamba, which is a protein, a peanut protein snack. And this led to the outbreaking study of Gidon Lack's group in the UK, which called the LEAP study. They took around 500 infants, young infants, and divide them to randomly to two groups. One group exposed routinely to the bamba snack with peanuts, and the other group was avoided from peanut proteins in any shape until the age of 5 years. The prevalence of peanut allergy in the avoidant group was something around 10-20 times more than the group that exposed routinely to a peanut protein from a young age. This led to other studies about egg allergy, and in those two cases of allergenic foods, it is already recommended, especially to infants that we call them high-risk infants, to develop food allergies, to early exposure to those proteins. The problem with milk, that usually the exposure to allergenic food like peanuts and eggs starts at 4 or 6 months of age. But milk, we are usually exposed, this is the first food protein, except for breast milk, that the infant is exposed to. And most of the infants occasionally or regularly exposed to cow's milk formula. And by this, we mean cow's milk protein from the very beginning, even at the first days of life. And this is why our thoughts and other groups of researchers around the world was that if we want to influence the development of cow's milk allergy, we need to start earlier, not 4 or 5 months of age.
So this is kind of the underlying hypothesis of the research that you conducted.
Yes, yes.
Understand.
Our hypothesis was that if we can influence the development of peanut allergy by early exposure since 4 or 5 months of age, so if we will expose infants routinely and regularly to cow's milk protein since the first days of life, maybe we can prevent or lower the risk to develop a cow's milk allergy in those infants.
What is the biological rationale of this hypothesis?
Okay, I'll try to explain it simply, although it's a very difficult sometimes to understand even for myself. The first 2 months of life, approximately, are characterized by two main factors that I think make infants more sensitive and prone to develop food allergies. First, the newborn's gut is immature and more permeable, and it allows large molecules to cross the intestinal wall freely and meet the immune system that is placed inside the intestinal wall. Later in life, those molecules usually do not cross the intestinal wall without any digestive process. Second, the immune system has the different types of T helper cells, including the Th1 and the Th2. Those cells are crucial to the immune reactions to any stimuli, pathogens later in life. Allergy occur when the immune system overreacts to harmless substances, the allergens, as I explained before. And this reaction is typically mediated by the Th2 cells. In newborns, there is a natural bias toward the Th2 dominant immune response, which makes them more prone to develop antibodies that can cause food allergies. I think that the combination of the absorption of undigested large molecules that are introduced to a Th2 immune system make the infant susceptible to developing antibodies against food products that are usually innocent and the body does not react for them. As I said before, after the antibodies are developed by the immune system, at the next exposures, the infant can develop the allergic reactions. It is important to understand that those are still theories and hasn't been proven yet. So as I said before, and I probably will repeat it again and again and again, we have a lot of work to do in this, in the understanding of the mechanism and how can we prevent the development of food allergies.
So let's talk about your study. Let's talk about the COMEET study.
Yeah.
Tell me about the design of this study.
First of all, I want to tell you why the name is COMEET. COMEET is for a cow's milk early exposure trial. And another by meaning way to think about it, because it's commit. You need to commit for something that you are eating. The aim of the COMEET study was to investigate whether early and continuous exposure to cow's milk formula since the first days of life can prevent the development of cow's milk allergy. We enrolled 2,252 infants, everyone counts, shortly before or after labor, and we divided them to 3 groups according to the parents' feeding preferences for the first 2 months of life. Exclusive breastfeeding with adding at least 1 bottle of cow's milk formula per day, or exclusive cow's milk formula feeding. The reason for focusing on the first 2 months of life was for a few reasons. First, we thought that this is the windows of opportunity of early exposure. And second, we wanted to find a period that we think the parents, especially the mothers, can commit and follow their chosen plan for feeding their infant. We followed the infants for 1 year by a monthly survey, and after dropout, we left with around 2,000 infants that completed the 1-year survey, and this is the infants that we analyzed the results. About 54% of the infants were exclusively breastfed for at least the first 2 months of life. 1/3 combined breastfeeding with at least 1 bottle of cow's milk formula per day, and the rest, about 15%, were only fed with cow's milk formula from the first days of life. For analysis purpose, we looked at 2 groups: exclusive breastfeeding versus cow's milk formula exposure from birth, which included the 2 groups, the breastfeeding plus cow's milk formula and the cow's milk formula feeding only.
Okay, so you had three groups, right?
Yes.
Three groups. One group of infants with exclusive breastfeeding, one group of kids with exclusive cow milk formula, and one group of some sort of a combination. And this was all based...
But the combination, it's very important to mention that the combination was routine exposure to cow's milk formula.
Okay. And this was all based on what the mothers told you when they enrolled to the studies, told you that they would do.
Yes.
Okay. So after a year, when you started analyzing the results, what did you find?
We had 18 infants, which is 0.9% of the infants that developed cow's milk allergy. All of them were in the exclusive breastfeeding group. None in the combination or exclusive cow's milk formula feeding groups. There are known risk factors on the development of food allergies, such as family history of atopic comorbidities, which means parents or siblings with asthma, food allergies, atopic dermatitis, or allergic rhinitis. And we try to see whether those risk factors influenced the development of cow's milk allergy. But even after certification and after removing those risk factors, the results remain significant that all the infants developed cow's milk allergy were in the exclusive breastfeeding group.
So,
yes.
Sorry, go ahead.
This means that routine and continuous exposure to cow's milk formula is superior to the risk factors, the influence of risk factors, and masks their influence on the development of cow's milk allergy. Although we expected those results, we couldn't imagine that it will be so significant and clear. My boss all the time told me that we need another cow's milk allergic infant in the other group because it looks too good to be true that you have 0 in one group, but we didn't have.
So at this stage, you started diving deeper into the group of infants which developed cow milk allergy. And when you did that, you discovered that there was some divergence between what the mother said they would do and what actually happened. What did you find?
Yeah, correct. In the exclusive breastfeeding group, we wanted to find what's united the infants that developed cow's milk allergy than those who did not develop cow's milk allergy. After further investigation of this exclusive breastfeeding group, it was found that only 53% of the infants, of the mothers that claimed that they will exclusive breastfeed their infants, were actually doing so without any exposure to cow's milk formula for the first 2 months of life. The remaining mothers exposed their infants to small amount of cow's milk formula during the first 2 months of life, usually very rare, in rare occasions, or only after birth in the maternity wards, to small amounts of cow's milk formula.
And after you acknowledged these divergences and looked again at the results, what did you find?
14 out of the 18 infants that developed cow's milk allergy belong to the subgroup of the infants that were exposed to small amount of cow's milk formula during the first 2 months of life. The prevalence of cow's milk allergy in these subgroups was 3.5% versus 0.7% in the truly exclusive breastfeeding group. Therefore, the conclusion was that early and continuous exposure to cow's milk formula protect against the development of cow's milk allergy, but occasionally and random exposure to cow's milk formula increases the risk to develop cow's milk allergy. The risk of developing cow's milk allergy in the truly exclusive breastfeeding infants is in the middle. It's better than random exposure in rare occasions to cow's milk formula, but it's less protect protective than routine exposure to cosmic formula since the first days of life. I must emphasize that this result about the truly exclusive breastfeeding infants was not statistically significant. However, a large retrospective cohort of more than 13,000 infants looked after our results, look what happened with those with their infants, and they support our results that infants that on exclusive breastfeeding are still at a higher risk to develop cosmic allergy than infants that expose routinely to cosmic formula since the first days of life.
Do you think that the results of this study contradicts current recommendation saying that mothers should breastfeed their infant?
There is no questions about the advantages of breastfeeding. I breastfed my 3 kids. Breastfeeding has many advantages, both for the infants and the mothers, such as lower the risk of sudden infant death, diabetes, overweight in older ages. Our studies found that irregular exposure to cosmic formula increases the risk to develop cosmic allergy. Therefore, if the mother, for some reason, exposed her infant to cosmic formula during the first days of life, to lower the risk of her infant to develop cosmic allergy, according to our study, and by the way, other studies around the world, it is better to continue routine exposure to cosmic formula, but once daily, not we don't think she need to drop out the breastfeeding and stop breastfeeding her infant.
Mm-hmm. So
yes,
what needs to take place in order to make your super important findings part of the guidelines? How far are we from that point?
We're still far from it because although 2,000 infants is a large cohort, it's not large enough. And we need larger cohorts to repeat the results, and we need it in other places around the world with a diverse population. There are a few studies around the world in different parts, in Japan and in Europe, that found results that support our results, but it's not enough. And we need a longer observation to see if the nutrition, the nutrition during the first 2 months of life can influence other outcomes in older ages. So before we can recommend early exposure to cosmic formula since birth, we need to see if this early exposure can cause other illnesses later. We continue to follow our infants, our cohort, until the age of 10 years, so part of the results we'll probably have shortly.
Yeah. So I want to skip forward to additional very interesting finding you encountered when you started analyzing the clinical data. Findings about other food allergies not related to cow milk formula. What did you find?
Okay. During the COMEET study, we collected information regarding other food allergies such as eggs, peanuts, sesame seeds, and tree nuts. Overall, we had 47 confirmed cases of IgE-mediated food allergies, including the cosmic allergy. While analyzing the results, I noticed that all those 47 infants were breastfed, either exclusively or in combination with cosmic formula. None of them were fed only with cosmic formula since the first days of life. We searched for other explanation for this very shocking results.
Yeah.
Like other known well-established risk factors the only risk factor that correlates with the development of food allergies was a family history of atopic dermatitis. Atopic dermatitis is a condition that is characterized by a typical skin rash in typical places, and it's very, very itchy to the person that suffers from it. It is well known that infants with familial history of atopic dermatitis are more prone to develop food allergies. However, even after stratification for atopic dermatitis, the difference between the breastfed and the non-breastfed infants remains significant.
So how do you explain these results?
We don't have a solely well-proven explanation for these results, but we do know a few things. It has already been proven that breast milk contains traces of protein that the mother consumes. If the mother eats peanuts on a regular basis, her breast milk contains a certain and pretty much a constant amount of peanut proteins, and the infant is exposed to a constant amount of peanut proteins. However, if she eats peanuts only once in a few weeks, her breast milk contains a changing amount of peanut proteins. Sometimes it contains a large amount, and sometimes it doesn't contain at all peanut proteins. Now, if we will go back to the primary result of the COMEET study, we saw that the highest risk to develop cosmic allergy was of infants that were exposed occasionally to small amount of cosmic formula. If we will connect those two facts, we hypothesize that regular consumption of certain proteins by the breastfeeding mother will protect her infant from developing cosmic allergy or other allergies, but occasional exposure to small amount of those allergenic proteins will increase the risk to develop food allergies. I must emphasize two things. First, this is still theoretical, and we don't have proven results for this hypothesis. Second, we acknowledge the importance of breast milk. So we don't think the solution will be to stop breastfeeding the infants. On the contrary, we want to find a way to improve the breast milk.
It sounds like there are many open questions and plenty of research that you and your peers need to conduct in order to answer all these questions. So what is the next step here? How do you keep on investigating it in order to answer all these questions?
Okay, so first, we need to understand the mechanism causing the development of food allergies. If we will understand better the mechanism, we will be able to understand why one infant developed food allergies and the other one developed tolerance. We need to investigate a lot of questions in this area of mechanism in a well-designed studies, such as there are unknown risk factors that influence the development of food allergies. How much allergenic proteins does the infants need to be exposed to be protected from the development of food allergies? If there is a windows of opportunity for the early exposure, we think it was 2 months, but we don't know exactly if it's 2 months or even 1 month. We don't know it. Second, we need to understand the exact mechanism of proteins absorption in the mothers and the secretion of those proteins in the breast milk. We need to investigate are there other factors influencing this process? Does the protein secretion in breast milk remain constant or change over time? Is it the same in the age of 1 month or in difference in 4 months of age? For some of these questions, we already have preliminary protocols, but we need larger grants to perform those studies. And as I said many times in this podcast, we have a lot of work to do.
Let me try to kind of skip a few years forward. If you and your peers conduct additional research and you realize your hypothesis is correct, meaning allergy can be dramatically reduced if the infant is exposed to consistent amount of proteins of specific food, then we may be able to develop a solution which might prevent allergy among infants. This would be a huge revolution, right?
Yes, I believe that food allergy is not a predestination, and there is a way to prevent the development of food allergies. But first, we need to answer those questions that I just mentioned. If we conduct additional research and realize that our hypothesis is correct, I think we can find a way to prevent the development of food allergies. There is some solution that we are thinking about, but it's still very early to speak about them. And we need to first, as I said before, understand the mechanism before this.
I think that what I love about your research is that it is brave. We need to allow ourselves not only to try and understand things we don't know, but also to ask questions that might contradict current guidelines, even if we're risking ourselves a little bit. I think that we must do this in order to push the envelope, in order to find new things.
I don't know if it's a brave or naive or a combination, but I think that if we want to find answers to a very serious questions, we need to get out from the comfort zone. And I think that we need to understand, we need to love, and we need to want to improve the lives of our patients and want to help them. And I really think that we have a way to do this, but it's still the beginning of the time, although it's look very, very far away. It starts already 20 years ago, but I think we're just in the beginning of this.
Yeah, no doubt. Thank you so much. For audience interested in learning more about this research, I recommend reading the two papers we discussed here today. This podcast is available on my LinkedIn page called The Healthcare Stage, and also on YouTube and Spotify. If you are working at a company developing novel solution aimed at improving the lives of others, or you are a researcher in a hospital or academia conducting groundbreaking research with potential clinical application, do get in touch with me at adi@thehealthcarestage.com. Idit, I hope this work will accelerate additional groundbreaking research in the field of food allergy in infants, and that in a few years, less infants will suffer from severe allergic reaction. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Idit, for this opportunity. And I really hope and believe that we can prevent or at least lower the risk of infants to develop food allergies.
Thank you, Idit.
Thanks.